morning. It's Ginny, Tim, and Eli from DS Tech in the beautiful Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We're talking hack or treat today. We should be wearing our Halloween costumes, but we didn't bring them. So anyway, can hacking be a treat ever? Anyway, we had some laughs before we came on here telling Halloween stories, but maybe we'll share some later. Go to dstech.net and sign up for our newsletter and do your free security assessment. And then let's dive into these trick-or-treating hacks, or what did we call it? Hack or treat?
It's kind of just some analogy to go with the Halloween theme, some different cybersecurity tips and stuff. So,
well, they're kind of spooky.
Yeah, they can be spooky. No one likes getting their data taken like candy, So
no.
So the first one is talking about cybersecurity costumes. So the idea is that you're dressing up your security of your passwords and your accounts. You want to make sure you have multi-factor authentication on all your accounts everywhere, both business and personal. If you don't take the time to do it in your personal life, I'd recommend doing it because your Amazon accounts, your regular Gmail accounts are susceptible to being hacked, the same as your business accounts. So making sure you have your two-factor on is good, because without that, it's like leaving your door unlocked with a bowl of candy out on Halloween night and you're not even there. Eventually someone's going to get through that, and you don't have that secure deadbolt or lock with the MFA. They're going to get in.
And eventually you'll have that one kid that empties the whole bowl.
Yep.
And then nobody else will get any treats.
Yep. So they talk about phishing tricks, right? So phishing attacks now are becoming more and more sophisticated. They're even dressing up their emails using AI and things to make them look better and more sophisticated. So it's just, just be very aware of your phishing policy and your emails. And if anything does happen, just know who you report to immediately at your organization, because time is everything. The amount of speed between when you think you click a link or something happens, even if you exit out of the window real quick before you think it runs, always let them know immediately, just because
it happens.
Yeah, it happens. It happens to everyone. Yeah.
It happened to me.
Yeah.
It's super, because sometimes it looks super legit.
Oh yeah. No, they'll yeah.
It's hard to see sometimes what the difference is because they look so legit.
Yep.
Anyway.
And then the AI is just making that harder because you're creating images that look just like 99.9% of an official logo, and it's just like a few pixels off, so they can screw things.
It's like those costumes that look so real. Like
and if you think it's could be
the actual devil.
Yes, absolutely.
Or the actual Grim Reaper. Have you ever seen
it?
Anyway.
Don't fear the Reaper. More cowbell. No. Just I was gonna say, you can't be too careful. Of course, I mean, some of these emails are really well crafted, and some people might feel silly reporting something, especially if they find out that yes, it is legit, but really it's nothing to feel ashamed about. I just went to a conference of cybersecurity experts, and we all exchanged stories of the mistakes that happen that people learn from. And really, the more information shared, the better that we can help in the future. So,
good point.
Just a little,
good point.
Little soapbox there.
Don't be ashamed.
Yes, don't be ashamed. Let us know.
It happens to the best of us.
Yep. Absolutely.
And your security advisors love hearing that. I click this link, blah, blah, blah. Not that we love hearing that you click the link and there's something bad going on, but we love the fact that you're telling us right away so we can act on it and not just wait and try to obfuscate yourself.
It's harder to fix.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the longer, then we have to go back in time to what did initially happen, try to figure out everything, make sure there's no hooks still left in the system, all that stuff, where if you tell us immediately, it's just no change password, sign out, let's scan, unplug, and it can be done within an hour, so.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Haunted Wi-Fi networks. So the idea of this is using unsecured public Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So if you're at McDonald's, I wouldn't recommend doing your banking on their free Wi-Fi and typing in all your passwords and stuff, just because if someone's on that network, they could technically be scanning anyone else that's on the free network, and then that's how they'll try to get your stuff through that. So if you do have to work on a public Wi-Fi, use a VPN of some sort to try to help mask and secure your connection. Otherwise, try to use an authorized, your own network. If it's doing work device, maybe work will give you, a mobile device data to use on your own, so you're not using public Wi-Fi or using your own data, more secure that way, kind of thing. Pump up your firewall. So this is basically talking about how
the jam.
Firewall is the device that's at the edge of your building. Think of it's between your building and the outside wall as a protector. So all the traffic that's going in and out has to be kind of filtered through that. So they're looking for any known bad IP addresses, things like that, and it's kind of just blocking a lot of traffic. Most people know to understand a firewall nowadays. It's just blocking and helping you stay secure and protected on that end, but making sure that it's important to keep your firewall updated, making sure it can handle the bandwidth. If you think it's going slow because your business is growing, you might want to upgrade, because when they start going slower, it can cause other issues as well, not just security risk. So just making sure it's updated is a big thing. And obviously, if you have DS Tech monitoring your firewalls, we take care of that for you, where we have alerts anytime there's new firmware update. We'll schedule text to update it after hours and do all that for you. But if you're doing it yourself, just make sure that you're keeping the firewall updates. It's very important, because it just, with anything, it's all security updates usually. It's not so much the new UI or whatever. It's all security. So
We even let you know if hardware is coming end
to end of life, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
So we can plan ahead of time and not be wondering where the punch is coming from. Of course, you have
Right? Well, and then
have
you
time to
don't,
lay out a game plan.
then you don't have an emergency when it does.
Absolutely.
You know, it's
Absolutely.
like, yeah.
Yeah, that
Anyway,
Because just like with anything else, companies aren't going to
Sorry.
support their old devices forever. At some point in the cycle of the life, you have to get a new device. So just keep getting the new security updates and supporting it, things like that. It's not like I can take my 1960s, vehicle to a dealership and expect them to service it exactly like a brand new vehicle. You know what I mean? Because it's just outdated. It's not,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea.
yeah, that's true.
Same thing they call ghoulish software updates. So the idea of your firewall updating with firmware and updates, same holds true with your software, whether it's your browser. There actually was a recent browser vulnerability that came out that affected all Chrome, Edge, and Firefox browsers, as well as lots of other apps. And that was one where someone could just send you an image, and the image had stuff imbued in it, and it would just start doing things even without you clicking it. So it was very scary, I guess you could say, but the quick thing is just update everything. Thankfully, all those browsers had updates literally the next day, so all you needed to do is make sure it was on and updated and you're good to go. But knowing that, then we blast all our customers. We work to update everything after hours for them, all that kind of stuff. So just make sure your software is also up to date, your OS, as well as your individual applications, just as important as having your firewalls updated.
I'm so used to everything here getting automatically updated.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
When that happened, my browsers did not automatically update at home.
Yep.
So I had to go in and.
Because you might have disabled automatic updates at home because you don't have them, automatically updating all the time, just for whatever reason.
Do you have to automate on every piece of software at home?
It depends. Like usually when you install Chrome, for example, or Edge, usually there's an automatic update that has a little checkbox that says every time I connect to the internet, check for software updates. And then there might be sub options where check for the update, ask me to apply it. Check for the update, just automatically do it. There's different options you can usually choose, but that is individual. Like if you opened up Chrome, it'd be in your Chrome settings for just Chrome. If you opened up Edge, it would be in your Edge settings just for Edge.
I'll have to check. I don't know. I must have
It's
checked
usually
the
in
wrong
an
one.
auto update setting somewhere.
Probably checked the wrong one.
But yeah, you want to make sure just your software is up to date, as well as your hardware and your firewalls and stuff.
Good point.
This one kind of talks about how your data is just like the candy to the hackers, right? They're trying to get into your system. They're trying to get what they can, and they may not necessarily use your data themselves. Like if they try to, say, break into a bank or a customer and steal a bunch of personal identifiable information, like social security numbers and credit card numbers, all that kind of stuff, they're probably not going to use that data themselves to try to spoof you and do fraud. But what hackers will do is take all that data and then sell it to other hackers on the dark web. So they're just kind of trying to get data and say, hey, we have all this banking database here, we're going to sell it for however much money, and then they'll give it to someone else who then will do more malicious things with that data. So there's a whole underground network of people trading data, and so just your data is like candy to the hackers. That's the best way to kind of use that analogy there.
Even little data.
Yeah.
Because I had somebody say to me, well, I don't care if somebody steals my Netflix account and watches movies. That's not the point.
No.
No, the point is that there's personal information in there.
Yep. And
they
then
have your Netflix login. You've probably used that password somewhere
you
else.
Probably use it
unless you are perfect.
Yep.
At your password practices.
And then what they'll do is they'll go into your Netflix settings and look at your payment methods, and they might be able to scrape the last four of your card, and they can do other things to try to socially engineer all this data from all your social media and everything to try to get more information from you. So even the little bits of data you have saved on file at these companies.
Still good candy to the hackers.
A little bit of
You
creativity.
got your credit card on file. Guess what? You got your address in there for them now. Now you got all this other stuff. They can just get that from you being in the account. Now, chances are your address is probably out there anyway. But the idea is that they'll take this little bit of data that you have and try to get as much and build more from it and try to move. So this one talks about haunted USB drives. So typically, if you work in, you know, a business like a financial institution, a hospital, someplace like that, you probably already have policies where you can never plug a thumb drive into it. Because just for the security risk of it. And so that should be your same mentality you have anywhere. Like if you find a thumb drive in Walmart's parking lot, don't go home and just plug it into your computer at home, because yeah, your curiosity is like, what is this? I just want to know what's on it.
Yeah,
It's
what's
like,
on it?
it says
Ooh,
resume, it
nosy.
says,
Yeah.
you know, recipe, it says whatever. Hackers will put like a word or a label on them sometimes to intrigue you and want you to get it. And then when you plug it in, it automatically will install stuff, put a backdoor on it, and now the hackers isn't really hacking you immediately, but now they have access to get into your system later to then try to take your candy and your data and everything like that. So the USB drives, just never plug them in if you don't know what it is. And then if your company has a policy not to use USB drives, you should never be circumventing that, just for the convenience of it. Obviously follow the policies that your company has. So this is like they call it security treat bags here.
Treat bag.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
I like
that would
treat
be
bags.
so obviously with DS Tech, you might be able to have like a treat bag, a kit from us. So we'll tell you how to use a password manager. We'll help you train you on your phishing. Maybe we'll set up campaigns with your staff where we'll send fake emails on purpose to try to trick them, and then if they do fall for it, they can take a little training. There's all different things we can do to help bring up the security posture at your company. So just reach out to us if you don't already have some treat bags from us to help you with your security. We can customize something for you and help you out as well. This one just talks about different scary statistics. So obviously ransomware is a huge thing. You hear it in the news, all that stuff, you know, everything from, we were just talking about, you know, casinos can be hacked the most secure you would have. There's obviously always, you know, governments constantly going at the digital warfare, I guess you could say, are going at it. It's a constant battle that you may not always see. So, you know, I don't like to sell anything with fear, but realistically, it is crazy the way the world's becoming more connected with everything. It just does mean you need to be aware of it, and just to kind of be aware, from that, because maybe the initial damage of the ransomware you were able to restore from your backup okay, and you really were only down for like 3-4 days, and you had a good response, and you kind of did everything right. You're still going to have reputational damage to that, which can last, they say, 5 to 7 years after an attack. You know, if someone did business with you and their data was breached, do they really want to do business with you again? There can be a lot of repercussions other than the dollar value that's immediate when you get ransomware. So just making sure your security is in place is
That dollar value has gone up.
It has.
Year over year, unfortunately, as well.
Yep.
On average.
Yeah. And the average, they call it the dwell time too, of where if someone gets into your system and is poking and prodding around before they actually say, hit the button that says, I'm going to attack you, is like something like almost like 6 months, I think. It's
Wow.
like hackers will get into your
Even though they're
system and they will poke and see how far they can get on, you know, it's like they're tiptoeing around your house, scoping it out before they actually break in, right? It's pretty much what they're doing, is they're kind of looking at all the windows, they're looking at all, can I get into the basement? How's the front door? Do they got a dog? They're kind of looking at all these different things before they decide to actually break in. And that's kind of what hackers will do. They'll get in your system, poke around, do what they can. You know, thankfully we have lots of things in place that detect that using actually AI and machine learning, where if someone's doing weird things that are kind of outside the bounds of what's normal day-to-day traffic, it'll kind of signal to us, hey, what's this? Look at this. And it can, that's what we're usually looking for in security wise. So we can be alerted of it immediately when someone's in the system within a day, instead of letting them dwell for so long. So if you didn't have any security software and you did hit with ransomware, it can be scary because you don't know how long they've been in your system for up to that point.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't have to be a known bad actor or anything for us to catch that, correct?
Yeah, no, yeah. If anyone's
Just
doing weird
suspicious
things,
activity?
yeah, like you could have a tech.
Run of the mill, like
Yeah.
antivirus is only going to protect you from things that were known bad in the wild.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, just the antivirus is known where it's learning and it's just looking at trends, like where if, say someone runs a command and it's all of a sudden scanning all the network everywhere, which is weird. It could be legitimate activity. If say you have an auditor coming in and they're kind of doing some scans on your network and things like that, it could be legitimate. Or it could be a
I've
hacker
seen those
doing
tickets
it.
come in.
So
Oh yes.
the
I
idea,
have,
is that
actually.
the idea is that we still get alerted to the activity. We're going to look into it and then verify whether it was real or not. And then if it's not, then take the appropriate actions of stopping it in its tracks, figuring out when they made entry and rolling back, all that kind of stuff.
And the person that you're, double checking, of course, for suspicious activity might even appreciate it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And usually the IT guys
Probably
will like,
appreciate you verifying.
Yeah,
It
for
might
sure.
be an extra step, but
yep.
it just shows that you're with it. And,
Mhm.
For sure.
sure.
So this one says the Crypt Keeper's Guide to Incident Response. So, Basically having a good plan. You don't want to be like a dead skeleton or a zombie. If something happens, just like, oh, what do I do? And moving slow. You should have an outline plan that's detailed of like if we were to be breached or if someone gets phished or the different types of things that happen.
What's
Who
the
do you
first thing to
contact?
do?
First thing to do. Who do you contact? And have it outlined. Is it your insurance? Is it your manager? Is it your security team? There should be a plan in place that people know to follow. So that way, when something happens, and then usually emotions are high, stress levels are high. That's when mistakes are made. If you have a nice plan you can follow, it helps keep you in line and then follow the plan through to the end. And if you don't have an incident response plan and you're a customer of ours, reach out. We can help work with you and come up with something with that. Ghostly IoT devices. So you always hear about like, oh, they hacked in through the thermostat,
That's
and then all of a
spooky.
sudden you got all this stuff. And that can happen. There was like, I think it was another casino. They had a thermometer that was in an aquarium.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
an
you
IoT
told me that
device.
story.
Yeah.
And
That was
somehow
crazy.
they like latched onto the thermometer, and it was on like they were able to move laterally to like the data VLAN, and then they somehow started exfiltrating like credit card data from customers through the thermostat in an aquarium.
Yeah,
like what? That
it
sounds like it's out of James Bond or
It does.
something. It's like, what is this? But
I was just listening to a red team hacker who he actually figured out how to communicate and get into someone's network through sending push notifications to a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth enabled refrigerator.
Yep.
So you never know. Like always you want to weigh convenience and security. And like how important is it to talk to your refrigerator? Because hackers might be doing it too.
Yeah, the amount of times that my refrigerator is going to tell me, "Oh, I'm out of ice via Bluetooth." Does that really matter versus the convenience of it?
Yeah.
And if you talk to a lot of people that are in security and tech that actually don't like a lot of those IoT devices because it's so much to try to configure it securely and all this other stuff, the hassle you're going through for the convenience usually isn't worth it. It's nice having the idea of having a crazy cool smart home where you just clap, everything comes on, the curtains open,
like
and
the
it's
Epcot
all,
one?
Smart home.
The idea is cool.
You ever see that?
Yeah.
The Epcot one?
I haven't seen that specific one. I was thinking of like the movies where they have like the Microsoft, campuses and they're all high tech.
My kids were little, so I'm sure it's way more advanced now. But it was like a little tour of a future home where everything is controlled.
And so if you are in security and you got everything secured well, it's cool. It's convenient. It's nice to have, cameras and lights and your AC's turning on better to save you energy because it's more smart to be programmed right and all this kind of stuff. And you could, I'm coming home early for the day so I can turn the AC on before I get there from my phone. Convenient things like that are nice, but then you got to weigh that with the security. What do you want to go with there? And just making sure that things are secure. A lot of times when you get those IoT devices in the box, it says, just set it up, plug it into your internet and turn it on and enter the default password and you're good. Well, that will usually get it to where it's working, but it's not actually secured properly. So you want to make sure you change the default passwords. If you're smart enough to have different VLANs, which are basically different data networks running parallel, usually you want your data on one and then maybe your cameras on another. And then you'd have, your voice on another, and it separates them. So if someone were to hack your voice, they can't get to your data, or vice versa, and it kind of creates these barriers that make it harder. But there's always, there can be ways around different things. So for me, I like the idea of living in a log cabin in the woods somewhere with nothing smart required, just because I'm in tech so much. But I do also like the idea of having a fully smart home too. So it's all in the individual.
These spooky stories make me want to go there.
Yeah. This one talks about cursed ransomware, explain how they can, company data. So yeah, we've gone over ransomware a bunch already. I won't kind of, beat that one to death here. You can watch another episode on that one. But basically, it is a file or a virus that will lock your files, and then they demand money from you to unlock them. So it's like they're holding your files ransom. The idea with that, though, is that if you pay someone, if you're trying to convince a criminal, like, I'll pay you this money and you're going to unlock my files, like, do you really going to trust them to do that? So usually you're not better paying the ransom, but able to restore from a backup and not paying the hackers because you don't want to further their habits where they're going to get the money from you and then attack another 10 companies.
And you don't want to set that precedent either as being a target. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you set up and you pay the ransom out, guess what? The word's going to get around and you're going to have like 40 more people trying to hit you. You know what I mean? To try to get that ransom. That's a very good point. And then this one just talks about, it says the witching hour. So it just talk about the importance of 24/7 monitoring and how cyber threats don't adhere to a set schedule. And then the security operations centers, or the SOC team. If you've ever heard the term SOC, that's just security operations center, where we have techs that are looking at logs. I mean, there's AI that ingests all the data, it normalizes it, looks at like your office sign-ins, it looks at your regular firewall traffic, what time do users actually log in, and it kind of looks at all this stuff. And if it sees something that's out of the bounds of normal, that's where then it'll go to a human to kind of look at it and decide whether it needs to be escalated or not. So we have these 24/7 teams that do that. It's part of your security package you get from us, because hackers will usually wait till a vacation holiday weekend. You know, if you have Labor Day weekend, Memorial Day weekend, or whatever, that's when they're going to strike, because they know most businesses are closed an extra day. So when they kind of get in there and they're doing their sneaking around the house to see where they can get in, they have more time to do that without worry that people are going to be working. So
well, and that's the nice thing for a lot of our customers and their IT people, is that they can actually have lives and weekends and holidays, because
yep.
you know, we partner with them and have this 24/7 monitoring. So,
Yep, it is a huge
gives you some more peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if they do see something, they'll call you no matter what day of the holiday, whatever. We got
Yep.
certain contacts here where it doesn't matter what day, what time it is. It could be 3 a.m. on Christmas Eve, you know, or whatever. It's just like, boom, they'll call you anyway if there's something going on. So having that 24/7, no matter what day it is, in place is very valuable. And you'll get that with, you know, our top tier cybersecurity packages, where we include the SOC monitoring. So yeah,
Excellent.
that's pretty much.
And that was 13.
13 too,
Ooh.
keeping on theme. So
Ooh, I like 13. Actually, it's my lucky number.
Mhm.
So that's it, right? We're
Yeah,
done.
that's
I mean,
about all
those
I
are the
got.
all the
Tune in
spooky.
next week to hear about Jenny's bad luck.
Shush! Don't speak that. Oh. Anyway, that's the spooky details of the hacker tree.
Mhm.
I think
Don't-
I'd rather have my house egg.
Don't let them have the candy. Get your security in place
Mhm.
and fill in your free assessment on our website at dstech.net. Also sign up for our newsletter while you're there, and we'll see you next time.